Folks, what I was more concerned about, and it starts to become up more in replies and in my emails especially, is the timing. People are saying, "Oh my gosh, they're going to be saying peace and safety if this ceasefire deal goes through." Very well could happen that way. Let me give you a big picture, and this will help you maybe to understand what, when, and why all this is happening. I don't want to say this because politically I don't feel correct, because I would be accusing, the Knesset members of being political, or at least some of them. But can any of this have anything to do with the timing of President Trump coming into office? In other words, who's going to get the credit if the ceasefire takes place this week? Biden. Now the next thing is Biden still has control in regards to what he says to Israel. We have Blinken in the news repeatedly saying, Israel, you can't do this. You've got to give the Gaza Strip back to the Palestinians or to Hamas. What they're saying is you've got to allow food to get into the Gaza Strip, and so in other words, they're very influential right now, and they're saying to Israel what they have been doing for pretty much this whole complete war with Gaza is tying Israel's hands from doing what Israel really wants to do. So with this in mind now, let's put this whole picture together. Iran is really the head of the snake, if I can use that term. Iran is the one that is supporting Hezbollah, the ones that are supporting Hamas, the ones that are supporting those in Judea and Samaria, or known as the West Bank, the ones that are supporting the Houthis. All right, here it comes. Right now, Israel would like to, if they were to say, put plans on the table to have an attack on Iran and just take care of their ability to be able to threaten anybody or to help anybody. I mean, I'm talking about a big attack. Well, Biden can't bring that up. There's nothing he can do right now because, of course, America, Biden is going to say no to it. They're going to say, well, we can't help you. We can't join in on that. So let's just keep playing this through. What would President Trump say? Well, I think he's already said it. He said there will be all hell to pay if the hostages are not released. Iran can't help but be thinking that the warring that Israel wants to do would be accompanied by the new administration in America giving them the green light and even possibly helping. So Iran is, the last several weeks, has been boasting about its power that it still has, and they've got to be thinking this. They've got to be thinking that Israel really wants to go for the head of the snake. Now, Israel can go for the ceasefire, and that ceasefire can bring about the release of a bunch of hostages. But see, that's not the end of the war. So we still have that whole situation to where what are they going to do in the Gaza Strip? Well, Israel would love to just take and pull all the electricity away from the Gaza Strip, pull all the water away from the Gaza Strip, cut off all the food, until Hamas finally throws up their hands and throws down their guns. And then they just say, we give. Then Israel would have accomplished their goal of what they wanted to do in the Gaza Strip. But they can't do that because, again, Blinken, Biden administration, forcefully pushing for all this food in there. And the humanitarian aid, they call it. So really, nothing's going to be stopping those still coming into the West Bank, except that Syria now has interrupted that flow of weapons in there, but they can still come in through Jordan. Okay, so no matter how Hezbollah is rebuilding, and so Israel is basically trying to say what we're looking for here is something that'll stop the war, that'll stop Hezbollah, will stop the Houthis, and in Gaza. Well, if that's the case, why not have a ceasefire now? Let's have that ceasefire, get the hostages home. The new president comes in. Israel can then do what it wants with Hamas. Now, remember, all of this is their thinking without knowing anything about Scripture, knowing nothing about end times, and knowing nothing about Psalms 83. They know nothing about Zechariah 12. None of them do. They're no clue. They're clueless. We're a very small percentage of people that understand this. With this, all of this thinking now, and with the new president coming in, the President Trump is saying there's going to be all hell to pay. Iran is boasting about its capability of defending itself. Israel's not talking about what it's going to be doing to Iran right now. They're, talking about what they're going to do with Hamas, with the hostage deal. So let's just, again, just logically thinking, Israel says get out as many as we possibly can, as many hostages as we possibly can. That stops the war. Now, the wars from the different proxies. Well, if that's the case, then can Israel say now, then at that time, okay, peace and safety? Okay, not peace and security, folks. Security is something that you work and gain to get. Peace is when you've gotten that. But it's interesting the way Paul writes it. In 1 Thessalonians 5:3, he says, when they say it, I believe it's going to be a momentary thing. See, because Israel's going to know it's going to have to, once the hostages are released, they have to go to phase 2. And phase 2 is going to say Israel's going to have to pull out of Gaza Strip, which means Israel's saying they're losing. But Israel has claimed the right to go back again and finish the war. What else is Israel going to do? Go back again and finish the war. With the new Trump administration, they may be able to pull back on the food and do a starvation thing, a tactic of war. Or it could just pull back the electricity. It could shut the fuel off, the diesel fuel coming into the Gaza Strip to keep the generators going. It can do stuff like that with the new Trump administration, and that's maybe what, again, Trump is saying. There's going to be all hell to pay for Hamas if I allow Israel uninterrupted closure of the Gaza Strip. It'd be water, electricity, food, medical supplies. Israel could implement that part of action in a war time, in a war zone. So, okay, back to what I originally said. I said a lot of people, the timing of this whole thing, of them saying peace and safety. And what other time can there be? If the hostage deal doesn't go through, when would they say it? If the hostage deal does go through, but Israel still realizes it has a lot more work to do, would they at a moment be saying peace and safety, but yet they still have to go back to war again? That's the possibility. When is that going to happen? Back again to what I said. Can it be that the Netanyahu, the Knesset, is holding off until the end of this week? And it's only a few days away, and Trump is going to be back in power again, and then it's going to say what its real intentions really want to be. And Hamas has got to be figuring this. When that Trump gets in, they're going to cut off our supplies, possibly. Iran's going to get hit, possibly. So Hamas is more motivated now to do this peace and safety. Now, folks, the most important part to understand out of this whole little video I'm making here is they don't know what's coming. All of this, Blinken, Biden administration wanting a two-state solution, Biden wanting that, they're wanting to make sure that Gaza Strip remains with the Palestinian people, that Israel has nothing to do with it, they're not allowed in there. They want the PA, Palestinian Authority, to be in control over after the end of this war, the start of this peace treaty. They want PA to go in and take care of the Gaza Strip, which Israel's already said they can't do. They can't govern them themselves, let alone other people. They've already been kicked out of the Gaza Strip once, and they'll be kicked out again because Hamas will kick them out. So it'll never, ever work. If I know this and I understand this, certainly, and so does the Palestinian people, the PA, Mahmoud Abbas, Hamas, Iran knows all this. I mean, they've got to have this all figured out. The big key at this particular time is just literally watching and waiting. So would it be, this little scenario just popped in my head, and I'm not going to give it a lot of credence, but could it be that right around about the time that President Trump takes place, if the hostages are not released, a strike on Iran. And that would probably could also end up bringing around, once Iran has been hit hard, then they would be saying peace and safety also. I thought of this before, but I didn't really bring it up because it's like really going out there. But if it's possible and that it could, that's why I was saying it's on the timing of things. Please, folks, it's just, we can give this another week or two, or even 3 weeks. I even said this could go into, not so much, I'm not saying it so much now, but I have said it a couple of times, could go into end of February, beginning of March, really and seriously, before all this stuff is worked out. Now, it looks like it's coming to a head much sooner than that. We're just going to have to wait and see. But anyway, caution, patience is one of the main points I want to get across here. And now I've given you a better understanding of what's happening there in the Middle East, but keeping Israel in mind. They're thinking what I would, I'm not a military person, but it really does make logical sense. Some of the tools that Trump could use and some of the ways that reasons Israel's waiting a little bit longer, maybe to give credit to Trump rather than to Biden. Biden has been tying the hands of Israel ever since the beginning of the war. Right at the very first they weren't, but then they started tying Israel's hands. You can't have Gaza Strip, is what Biden said. We won't let you. And even held back some of their bombs, some of their munitions they need, and kept them from Israel. So Biden is still at it today. Still at it today. You will not remain in the Gaza Strip. You must come out. You have to give that over to the PA, is what Blinken, Biden administration is saying. They're, again, tying Israel's hands. We can't do anything. So let's wait and see. We've got, let's see, what is today? Wednesday. Monday, Trump will have removed the power from the Biden administration to really say or do anything. And that's the important. It's not what Trump is going to do. Also, it's the fact that we get rid of this administration within America here that keeps on, handcuffing Israel. All right, I hope that was helpful. Some more coming up here real soon. I would really like to get into some of the other things that, people have talked about, and that's in regards to understanding what happens directly after the rapture, because people have got that mixed up a lot. And I'd like to, that won't be that hard to do. I'll explain that to you. Okay, until the next video, folks, I hope this was helpful to you.